Hi, all. Welcome to yet another Koot Podcast series where we discuss global SaaS adoption trends with global tech leaders, global industry leaders. And today we have a very special guest from eBay. And before I introduce the guest to you, let me share, why eBay resonates to me, right? So eBay for most of you must be a marketplace with buyers, sellers, and products. But for me, what stood out bigger about eBay is a simple idea of local pin code to global marketplace. Being an entrepreneur, I like the idea how a simple entrepreneur sitting in his local place can reach out to his global customers through eBay. So for me, eBay looks like a platform connecting people, creating community, and also providing economic opportunities for many entrepreneurs out there. And what's more interesting is this part of the story is now being written from eBay Bengaluru. And what's even more interesting is it's just 1 year old. The eBay Bengaluru is ambitious, as our guest is nodding. eBay Bengaluru is ambitious, and it wants to play really an important and pivotal role in the global eBay story. So let's welcome Mrinal Chatterjee, who is the site head, who is the VP Engineering and GM at eBay. Let me share more words about Mrinal. Welcome, Mrinal. First of all, thank you so much for taking out time.
No, thank you, Nageshwari. I'm so glad that we finally connected. We have been chatting for quite some time, but thank you for hosting me. I really appreciate it.
Same here. Likewise, Mrinal. To our audience, Mrinal brings over more than 3 decades of experience with 17 years exclusively in the retail section. He grew and, scaled giants like Walmart, and he co-founded and scaled Amazon Pay India. He's an entrepreneur by heart, and he founded ShopClues. He was a co-founder and CTO at ShopClues. And I think more interesting perspective of Renal is his different journey. His journey, especially he though he was grown up in India, he's predominantly worked in the US, and he brings a very different nuanced experiences of working with different cultures. So let's again welcome Renal. Thanks so much, Renal, again.
No, thank you for having me again. Thank you.
Absolutely. Mrinal, before starting our conversations, I would like to, to our audience, could you please share more about you, other than the job title that you carry, Mrinal?
Yeah. Nageshwari, I think first of all, thank you again. I think a little bit about myself. I think I was fortunate to work in different environments, different companies, large and small, got an opportunity to be a co-founder, and then even early stage employee, working across both India and US, those are predominantly where I've worked. I think my learning from this whole journey has been like, the culture of a company, right? Don't get me wrong, technology is important, solving for customer, growing your revenue, being profitable. That is a definition of a business, right? So that is just part and parcel the way I look at it. But how we get things done, how do we relate to our customers? That is something that has really shaped me. I remember this. I think Nageshwari, I'll take a little deviation.
No, no, sure.
I my first leadership opportunities was long time ago in a company called Oracle.
Okay.
And we used to sit in these beautiful glass buildings and look at what is the next set of features we need to build for the new version of the software that we're going to release in the market and all of that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. One day I met my SVP in the hallway, and the question that he asked me is like, Mrinal, do you talk to your customers? I was like, yeah, of course I talk to my customers. They report customer issues. They run into some problems. They don't know how to configure our software. Maybe there's a feature that is missing. So we talk to them. And then his answer was, well, that is great, but that's not talking, right? have you actually been to any customer location? Right? And I was like, no. So for the next year and a half, it was mandated to me that every quarter I would spend a week traveling
Oh.
and going to the customer site, seeing how they're using our product, meet with the end user, meet with project managers, meet with the leaders, understand what is working, what is not working, beyond just, hey, I need this feature and I need this button and I need all of these kind of things, right? I mean, it was a true eye opener. I came back, after a couple of those trips, went back to my same SVP. I said, like, what you have done for me is priceless. I can't even put a number in terms of how value this one is. Like, being able to relate to our customers. So, coming back to your question, Nageshwari, I think a few things which have shaped me, right, out is how do we delight our customers, right? How do we anticipate what our customers need, right? To me, these are things which forces us to go deeper into understanding how the customer operates, in a retail business, what is their expectation from a retailer like eBay, for example, as a marketplace. A majority of our customers are enthusiasts, right? They're collectors, right? They're hobbyists, right? And things like that. So trying to understand what excites them, how do they decide, like, when to buy, what to buy, how to create their assortment, and what do they do with it, kind of thing. Like, for example, for playing cards and things like that, there is a whole community of people who share, like, oh, I just bought this baseball card. This is the 1926 baseball finals or whatever it is, kind of thing. So being able to understand that and then figure out, like, how do you solve for your customers, right? The other thing which has really shaped me is, like, I figured, like, you have to take risks in your career, right? And I've spoken to many of my peers, and they said, yeah, there are times in our careers we all took a risk. When I say risk, it's like, sticking our neck out and saying, I think I'll do it, right? When there was a high degree of ambiguity, there was no roadmap, there is no nothing. So you have to figure things out, right? And I use the word think differently, right? I challenge myself, like, why am I walking the same beaten path again and again? And then I think the last part is, like, build trust with people. People are fundamentally good, right? We all need to figure out what is holding us back, why we are not able to build trust with each other. How can we create an environment where we are growing together, right? We're not competing with each other, we're growing together. Our competition is out there, right? It is not inside the company, right? So there is opportunity for everybody to grow. Like, people think, like, oh, I need to get ahead of other people. But, you will get ahead because of your uh, behaviors and your functional capability, right? But that doesn't mean we try to leave somebody behind, right? So, I mean, those are kind of the things that has shaped me in terms of when I'm on a crossroad trying to make a decision, like which direction to go. I mean, I apply some of those principles to myself.
Absolutely, Mrinal. Wonderful. I think it's rightly said that you cannot understand a business from top unless you've been there from the bottom, right? Absolutely. So, Mrinal, what's your current role? We understand you are a site head at eBay, but could you brief your current
Yeah,
role at eBay?
yeah, no, no, absolutely, absolutely. So like you mentioned as part of your introduction, like, eBay started their, we call ourselves the eBay Bangalore Innovation Hub.
Absolutely.
It started a year ago, just about a year. We just celebrated our first year anniversary in the month of June.
Many congratulations.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. My role is I'm VP of Engineering. I report to the CTO, and there I'm responsible for growing, scaling the organization here, and then aligned to our business goals and engineering goals, and then deliver from India, right?
Wonderful.
So that's one part of my role, and the second one is I'm also GM for eBay Bangalore, which is a
Okay.
lot of it is logistics, like
Hmm.
office space, infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. The way I look at my that part of my role is like, how do I create an environment where people feel they want
Yeah.
to come to the office every day, right?
Yeah.
They want to collaborate with each other. Culture is, front and center, right? And that's been my experience, Nageshwari. Like, when I spend time in our other locations, right?
Yeah.
And San Jose is where our headquarter is.
Yeah.
You can really feel the culture.
Oh,
People care, right? You
okay.
know, when you walk the hallway, even if you don't know each other, people will typically smile and say hi to
Smart.
you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it has also happened to me where people have actually stopped me and said, "Hey, are you new? I've not seen you before,"
Okay.
right? And that 30-second, 1 minute conversation, I introduce myself like, yeah, I'm new. By the way, I work from my Bangalore office and all of that kind of stuff. And they introduce themselves, and very soon, like, you don't feel like you're among strangers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's very,
Absolutely.
very important. That culture becomes very
Very
important,
true.
I think. Yes.
Very true. I think culture is a very important, very, very interesting, and I'll just take that in the later part of our podcast.
Yes.
Let me move on to this. I totally agree that, you mentioned eBay is a, innovation Bengaluru hub, right? Innovation hub at Bengaluru. But, legally the word that we use is GCCs. I know most of the people don't, use it as often, but legally it's a GCC. And that's the reason I'll use this. GCC's landscape is changing, Renal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's changing for good, from mere execution to ownership, right?
Yes,
Now,
yes.
who can be a better person than you, Mrinal, right? Tell me, how does ownership looks for you from day one at eBay, Mrinal, and how do you see it down the lane?
Yeah. No, no, no. I think good, great question. I think the way I look at it, Nageshwari, I think we have some advantages in favor of us, right? Primarily because we are so new, right? So we don't have a lot of past legacy of being an execution center and things like that,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah,
so in a way, I feel fortunate that we could define what eBay Bangalore would look like. What is our aspiration? What is our dream? What is our
yeah,
vision, right? This also requires a very important aspect, which is to sort of align with your leadership in terms of if that's where the center needs to go and all of that kind of stuff, right?
correct.
For eBay, Bengaluru is an integral part of their strategy, right?
Right.
It is a location that was thoughtfully chosen.
Okay.
India as a center was thoughtfully chosen. Within India, which city we should be
City.
there was
Yeah.
very, very carefully. I mean, this went through a almost like a year-long investigation, discussions, looking at the data and all of that kind of stuff. Because eBay was very, very mindful in terms of what eBay Bangalore should be. And this is some of it, a lot of it is long before even I joined, right?
Absolutely.
I think a few things, AI is changing everything, how we work, our customer expectation is transforming. So the way to me is building this thriving center requires a lot of things. I mean, of course, like I talked about our culture, right?
Yeah.
Culture is non-negotiable. It's not like, you go hire your first 100, 200, 300 people and then you invest in culture, right?
Hmm.
Like for example, I'll give you this example, Nageshwari. Our
Sure.
first 300, 400 people who got hired, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We imported all the interviewers.
Oh,
We had
imported.
playtimes. Yeah, I mean, like people came in from Germany, people came in from London, people came in from our San Jose office, from our New York office, and other locations, et cetera, et cetera. Because it was not just the core functional capability. If you're a software engineer, can you code
Hmm.
well, can you design well, and all of that kind of stuff. But behaviors and alignment to our values was that also important, right?
Absolutely.
You can do a lot of those things over Zoom, but you can't do all of it on Zoom, right? So we actually flew a
They were
lot.
in person, Renat. They were in
These were in
person.
people. Yes, yes, yes. There were
Okay.
times when we had like 40 to 50 people flew
Mm.
in, right? Now we are at that scale that we have built our own muscle locally that we are now able to interview, but we still bring in people from our other location just to make sure, because we are a new center, right?
Correct.
We may not be able to capture all the signals the right way and things like that, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so the culture becomes very, very important, all the way from talent to talent in terms of hiring, assessment. How do people show up, right? Give you a simple example, Nageshwari. To us,
Yeah.
knowing our customer is so important, right? I mean, if you look at our mission and purpose, right?
Yeah.
We bring people together to create communities and create economic opportunity for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
We win when our customers win, right? So building that culture, not just explaining it to people. We host our sellers in our office.
Wow.
Many of them actually bring their products, so you can touch and feel the products that they're selling, and they may be motorcycle parts for vintage motorcycles. They may be costume jewelry or precious metals and all of that kind of stuff, right? So, and our sellers come and narrate their story about like how they started their journey, uh, how they have grown, how they have scaled, all the economic opportunity they have created for themselves,
Yeah.
plus all the people that they've hired as employees. And
Yeah.
now, so that to me gets us really, really excited.
Mini entrepreneurs. You're creating mini entrepreneurs.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes, 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 yes. And then I think like for Bangalore to be successful, right? To
Yeah.
your original question, what ownership looks like, right?
Get it.
We didn't focus on debating about ownership, right? We said we will operate with trust. We will build trust with our peers, we'll build trust with our stakeholders, we will build trust with our leaders. And that's when ownership will come, right? Um, you know, we have fantastic eBayers at eBay, right? People are passionate about what we do every day, right? We need, before we ask for ownership, right? We need to demonstrate that can we live up to their expectation, right? So everything that we do, right? Every project that we complete, every innovation that we are driving, like how do we get deeper into understanding our customer? Are we really solving for a customer or are we doing some busy work, right?
Yeah.
So my guidance to the team is like, ownership will come, right? But only when you build the trust that, I will take care of this platform, this system, this application, this use case. When your stakeholder feels you will do it just like them or better, right?
Absolutely.
We are not a low cost. eBay Bangalore was not set up because,
The
India is
talent
a
is.
low
Yeah.
cost center. It was always built with the mindset that we get equal or better quality or capable. I wouldn't say quality, sorry. Capable engineers, just like in Bay Area, we get the same in Bangalore, right? But the culture becomes important, right? And
Absolutely.
the difficulty, I think, Nageshwari, is like, eBay doesn't have the B2C business in India. We have tens of thousands of sellers selling out of
Yeah.
India.
Yeah.
They have access to 190 markets in which they can
Yeah.
sell their products. But our employees find it difficult to relate to our buyers. So we are doing a lot of things in terms of listening to our buyers.
Yeah.
In many cases, like for example, me, I buy on eBay.com and then
Yeah.
get it shipped to a friend's place, and then when I travel, like I go pick it up kind of thing. But I still want to go through those experiences. So many of our employees are doing that, right? Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. No, no, that is very interesting that you mentioned that you buy something and you go and pick up from your friend's house to just to
Yes.
experience. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, just to experience the whole thing, like, from shipping to delivery estimate, did it arrive what time? How was it packaged? What was the seller communication? Whole thing, right? You can do a lot of those kind of things, right? And then finally, I would say, the last part, I think one thing I always worry about, right? In this whole thing of like, setting up I know Nageshwari, I don't like the word GCC. That may be the
Yeah.
technical word that has been used. But I feel like we need to be intentionally integrated with the rest of the larger ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
eBayer, whether you're in Japan, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in London, whether you are in Germany, wherever are this thing, eBay Bangalore is integral part of that, right? We have our unique advantages and we have our unique disadvantages, and we need to work towards those kind of things. But the more we are connected with each other, the
Yeah.
more we are, and today with Zoom and everything else, life is a lot more easier. You can connect with anybody. How do we create an organization where, like, we are deeply connected, right? And don't get too obsessed about the identity of the GCC.
No, very true. Well said, Mrinal. I think most of the GCC leaders are talking the same language that you just, it's always the value versus the volume, and it's a capability. Like you mentioned, many of the GCC leaders don't like themselves to be called as GCC. They are like we are one in the global, right? Sure. Sure, Mrinal. And let me just take a step back, Mrinal, right? Because you are doing such an interesting stuff, and you're saying that you want to connect at the ground. Even you're purchasing now and you're picking it from your friend's house. You were an entrepreneur earlier, Mrinal, right? And you were the CTO and the co-founder at ShopClues, like I introduced. Wow. Can you take us through your entrepreneurial journey, and what were some of the key lessons you built the organization from scratch? What were some crucial lessons that you learned hard way there, which you're applying and implying, here in currently, Mrinal?
Yeah, yeah, no, 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 absolutely. Great question. The learnings were countless, right? I mean, really, really fortunate for getting that opportunity. That was also the reason, ShopClues, that we relocated from US to India, right? 2011, all the signals looked very, very positive for India, right?
Yeah,
Smartphones were penetrating into India, the sale of smartphones were going through the roof. Data plans were getting cheaper and cheaper, et cetera, et cetera, right? So we, me and the co-founders, four of us, we felt like this is probably as good of a time that, it could be for us to land in India and do something. So anyway, a quick short story. It was ShopClues. We were trying to, in a simplest word, we were trying to create an eBay in India way back in 2011, right? Slightly different. We were a fully managed marketplace,
yeah,
slightly different in terms of our operating model in India. But I think like few lessons, like, coming back to your questions, I think like, one thing I realized is like, the buck stops at me, right? In
yeah,
all my previous roles, I had a manager, I had somebody saying that I'm not able to do it, I
yeah,
need you to help. This phrase in the corporate world of I'm escalating this thing to you kind of thing.
yeah,
And I'm sure, Nageshwari, you're a serial entrepreneur. You've probably gone through that many
yeah,
times. Buck stops at you.
yeah,
You are it, right? So how do you get comfortable in this uncomfortable environment, right? I grew up as a software engineer. My entire career, has been that, So as a co-founder, you have to wear multiple hats, right? You have
absolutely.
to step in no matter, like, if there is something. Like, I'll give you an example, Nageshwari. I was the first customer support agent for ShopClues, right? In 2011, 2012, if you call
Yeah,
customer support number, it rang on my desk,
yeah,
right? So it's just getting comfortable in terms of how to pick up the phone, ask
humble.
questions, help the customer. When you don't know the answer, take down
Mm,
their number and call them back. Like, that's how I learned about things, right? All the way for investors presentation, how are the investors look at a business, right? I mean, we are excited about the opportunity. How
correct.
do the investors look at it? So you get into so many uncomfortable situations, right? And
Yeah,
it does become nerve-wracking, don't get me wrong, but it's like, just go into it do the best you can, and also be mindful that if you don't know somebody, right? Oh, sorry, you don't know something, don't be ashamed to ask for help, right? We don't know everything all the time, right?
Yeah.
You have a set of people to whom you can lean for advice or guidance, right?
Yeah.
And in our case at ShopClues, it was our some of our investors leaned in very, very hard kind of thing. We had engaged in the ecosystems of startups. This was in the Delhi NCR area, reaching out to each other and saying that, hey, how do you do this? I'm running into this problem, like, et cetera, kind of thing. So, you know,
Yeah.
open to be comfortable that you don't know answers to everything, right?
Absolutely.
And then I think like the same thing that I just talked about, Nageshwari, understanding the business, right? I mean, like, ShopClues was not the first marketplace. There are many great ones. eBay is a perfect example. There's Rakuten, there's Mercado Libre, right?
Yeah.
Learn from all of them, but also understand like the India nuances. India is very different, right? India is very different from Germany, from Brazil,
Yeah.
from other markets, Japan, etc., etc. What are the local nuances, like logistics, payments, and all of that kind of stuff, right? And then how do you make it better, right?
Yeah.
And then finally, like uh, I read this thing long time ago, right? Culture eats strategy for breakfast, right? So culture was again the same thing. Like I remember like talking to Sandeep, he was our founder, right?
Yeah.
He said like, Mrinal, what is your aspiration about the culture of the company, right? And I said, I want to build a Bay Area company in Gurgaon, right? Where high accountability, high trust. We didn't have the notion of attendance long time for the longest time, right? I said like I'm not going to count how many hours people spend in the office, right? And but to us it's like, are you leaning in, are you understanding, are you delivering to what you said, like I will do it, and things like that, cultural, some of the things that I really really appreciated in American style of working is like, when somebody says I'll do it and I'll get it done by Friday, sometimes it'll take an act of God for them to not be able to deliver it by Friday, but most they take their word, so it
So,
has value, right?
yeah.
So we created that kind of a culture, and I'm so proud of it. Like, I'm still in touch with, I think, the first 200 employees of ShopClues, and we talk about the fond good old days and things like that. But yeah, a great learning experience, right? Yeah. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, 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 absolutely, Mrinal. And currently, I want to maybe, retouch upon this point of culture, right? Now, what are some of the culture that you want to establish in eBay? And what are
Mhm.
your current priorities at eBay, Bengaluru, Mrinal?
Okay. I think to me, the way I look at it, and this has been my personal journey, right? I mean, I think the culture is foundational, right? And
Yeah,
many companies, like, use some mechanism to codify those cultural behaviors, right?
absolutely.
At eBay, we call it our DNA, right? We have five values in there. And how do we make it real in everything that we do,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
When we say be for everyone, what does it really mean, right?
yeah.
So we do a lot of like, brown bag sessions when the leaders are visiting India. Sometimes we do it over Zoom. Try to understand what does it look like on a day-to-day basis, right? The same thing, operate with integrity, right? What does it really mean, right? Because otherwise these just look like fancy words on a wall kind of thing, right? So
Yeah,
make it real, right? And to us, like if you look at it, like Aishwarya, I just spoke about it, we exist because our customers trust us, right?
absolutely.
Our customers are buyers and sellers, right?
Yeah,
So we need to make sure that we put customer in the front and center of every decision we make, right? Um, you know, Second, the last part to me is like on top of all of that, right? And for eBay Bangalore, right? We need to operate with high transparency and proactive communication, right? So that's one thing that we are focusing on, right? How do
absolutely.
we operate with high transparency? To me, high transparency means how do we keep our stakeholders updated, both in terms of the progress that we have made or places where we are struggling, right? Create that culture to say, like, look, I don't know how to do this. Is there a better way of doing it? right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't be ashamed, right? I mean, like,
Absolutely.
we are here to learn, we are here to get better, right?
Absolutely.
Every company has its own nuances of what success
Yeah.
looks like, right? And understanding that, right?
Absolutely.
I talked about high integrity, right?
Yeah.
When you say I will do it, own up to it. It is your decision,
Yeah.
right? And be mindful that there is somebody who's dependent on you to complete what you told you will complete, right? So
Absolutely.
if you don't complete it on time, there's a risk somebody else's work will get impacted, right? So we need
Mm.
to operate with that, saying that, hey, I need to get it done. But to be very honest, like for whatever reason, like you think like, hey, I need a couple of more days, just stand up and say, hey, can I talk to you? I think I found a better way of doing it. This is more scalable. This is more reliable. This will
Mm.
improve the experience, but I need 2 more days. Are you okay with that? Right?
Mm.
Having that conversation, right? Rather than just doing the task of what I've been asked to do, kind of thing, right? And the
Mm.
last part is like, we focus on work that really creates an impact, right?
Mm.
Don't spend time on doing busy work, right? Speak up and ask, saying that, okay, I know you've asked me to do this project. How does it fit into the larger ecosystem, right? Who is my customer? What value will they get, right? What
Mm.
are we truly trying to solve, right?
Mm.
Just don't do that feature because somebody asked you to do that feature. Have that curiosity, right? Uh,
Mm.
because if nothing else, by asking those questions, you will learn the business better, right?
Mm. Mm.
And so a lot of definitions of culture, right? And
Yeah.
Nageshwari, the other thing that we worked on, me and the leadership team here is like,
Yeah.
what are some of the anti-patterns, right?
Okay.
Behaviors which will say this is a non-eBay behavior.
Office politics, for example.
Could be office politics, bureaucracy, doing work for the sake of doing it, keeping yourself
So,
busy
how do you keep
without.
it at bay at eBay?
Um, well, I mean, we are still going through that journey, like Nageshwari, but like
Okay.
everything that we do, for example, when we do our hiring conversation, like, which DNA values did the candidate exhibit, right? And which ones they didn't, which ones are we worried about, and all of that kind of stuff, right? Two, like, when we are reviewing projects, tasks, projects, platforms, architecture, all of that kind of stuff, always bring that conversation saying that who is the customer and what is the customer expecting,
Yeah.
right? When you talk about latency, like, I understand you are going to guarantee 9 milliseconds of latency. What will be the latency to the customer? Because there's going to be multiple layers of services, right? Before the customer gets to touch and feel it and all of that kind of stuff. What does reliability look like, right? Like for example, like, Nageshwari, in retail, like, checkout is probably the single most important thing. Like if somebody has decided to buy, like make sure it never breaks kind of thing.
Yeah.
But things can always go wrong, right? Some service timed out, something happened, and all of that. How do you create that graceful
Yeah.
degradation in the system, right? Again, going back to the same thing. Imagine if you were the customer, right? And you decided that you want to buy this mug, right? Now you're going through the checkout, and for some reason it doesn't work. You're so frustrated, right?
Yeah.
Because in your mind, you gave literally 2 minutes to complete the transaction and say done, right?
Absolutely.
When it breaks, that means now the customer will have to come back like, 4 hours from now, 6 hours from now,
Yeah.
because they still want to buy the mug. You just wasted a customer's time, right? We lost business, don't get me wrong. So that is part of it. But a customer went unhappy. That should be the thing that we should be obsessing about, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
So
very
those are
true.
those are the kind of things we ask. Like, when somebody, like for example, I do a lot of like hallway conversations and one-on-ones, right? With our engineers, with our designers, product managers, analytics, and everybody. Like, and my question always is like, hey, what are you working on? What is interesting, right?
Yeah.
And my very next question, I think a lot of people have now figured it out about me is like, why should our customer care? Why do they care what you're doing? If you ran into an eBay customer and you say, "Oh, I'm building this little widget," right? Why would the customer thank you saying that, "Oh my God, I really need it. Thank you very much for doing it," right? Or they will look at you like staring, saying that, "Hmm, what is that?" right? So again, do you relate to your customer? Do you understand your customer? To me, that is culture, right? I mean, like, when something breaks, building that culture, saying that when I talk about integrity, like, high accountability, like, stand up and say, like, look, I made a mistake. I could have done it better. Sure. You know, I mean, the fact that what should have been better, like, 80% of the problem is solved, right?
Is it the more of a nature observed from Gen Zs also, and there's a lot of reverse mentoring also happening? Renal, what do you see with Gen Zs in the culture? Are they adopting to the culture better?
Um, well, yes and no, right? I mean, for two reasons, right? I mean, if you look at our DNA values, right? I mean, they are time tested. Across generations, it'll work,
Yeah,
right? Be for everybody, operate with integrity, right? These are things which resonate with people,
yeah,
right? Why would you want to work with somebody who is only, looking out for themselves and nobody else in the team,
true.
right?
Yeah.
Or work with somebody when every time when something goes wrong, you're going to say like, oh, no, no, it was not my fault. My cab came late. I didn't have internet connection. I didn't have this and all of that. Versus somebody who says, you know what? I didn't have internet connection. Guess what I did? I just ran to a local coffee shop. I have a coffee shop 400 meters from my home. I just used their Wi-Fi and got onto the system, right? You look at say like, oh, what an inspirational message kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, yes, the difference that I see, right? I mean, like,
Yeah,
is like people of my generation, and I'm pretty old, right? We grew up in a different world,
yeah,
right? Where I think we were told delivering to what your manager asked you to deliver is good, is one definition of success kind of thing, right? Um, I think the younger generation are a lot more comfortable to ask questions why, right? And maybe it's the upbringing, how the socioeconomic environment in India is evolving, how the middle class is evolving, and all of that kind of stuff. The kids of today, Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and things like that, they're a lot more comfortable to ask you a question straight on your face, kind of thing, right? I think it's a fantastic thing. The generation like me, where we were told not to question your boss, right?
yeah.
It may
We
not.
never questioned our parents. We
We
just
did
listened
not
what.
question our parents, and all of, yes. So we grew up in that kind of an environment, Nageshwari, where it was not okay to ask, question bluntly and maybe even in public, right? The Gen Z, Gen Alpha, they don't have that fear in them,
Fear,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
But to me, one of the things which I absolutely love, Nageshwari, is like I'm glad this generation is growing, right? Because now I know exactly what's going through their mind and I can engage to them at a deeper level, right?
Yeah,
And yes, it'll put me in an uncomfortable position saying that why do we have to come to office 3 days in a week, right? Now, I should have a sound reason why we should be coming to the office, not just, oh, because I spent so much in real estate, I think we need to use it, right? So, meaningful conversation, which is also making leaders like me be a lot more thoughtful in our decisions that we make,
absolutely.
right? Be open to this thing about I may not get everything right,
Yeah,
right? And how do you use this as an opportunity to build a deeper trust relationship,
wonderful.
right? So yes, I mean, I am, a lot of people I know say like, oh my God, Gen Zs are unmanageable, like, I'm like, no, I think they are the future of India, and I'm so glad India is
Yeah.
producing these kind of people, right?
Actually, even I listen more of these conversations about Gen Zs that they are more clear and they have more
Yeah.
better clarity and they're more demanding and they're very very open and there is a lot of reverse mentoring also happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And don't get me wrong, they're restless, right? I mean, I'm sure like we were all restless at our age,
Yeah,
right? I mean, now
yeah,
we think like, we were a lot more behaved and all of that kind of stuff.
yeah.
But that energy is, contagious, right?
Totally.
Help
Absolutely.
them channel that energy in the right place, right? And they're looking for leaders to tell them what is the right thing to do,
Mm,
right?
true.
They are bombarded with information that I used to scavenge for knowledge, right?
Yeah. Mm,
I grew up in the world pre-internet times, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
things were not accessible and things like that, right?
Absolutely.
Now they're bombarded with information. They
So too
sometimes
many.
struggle to
Mm,
figure out how to compartmentalize and not get distracted, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, no, very true. I have a teen daughter and I can totally relate to you. It's a struggle almost every day to keep them away from the distraction. Too many
Yeah.
content.
Yes, 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 yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Moving on to my next question, and I'll rightly
Mm-hmm.
pointed out, about the culture, and even in India, I think there's very strong culture being observed from Mercedes-Benz having an engineering culture, innovation culture, and Nokia again, R&D culture, right? Now, looking forward, how do you want eBay to be moving forward? How do you want people to look upon eBay? What should be eBay Bengaluru known for, Mrinal?
Hmm, 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 hmm. Well, a great question. I think, like, sometimes having like a North Star to yourself
Yeah,
gives you a way to say, are you moving in the right direction? Did
yeah.
you take a wrong turn? Do we need to do course correction and all of that kind of stuff? To me, my dream, right, is to create an eBay Bangalore that rest of eBay is going to be proud of, right? Both in terms of culture, known for its culture, known for its innovation, known for building, highly scalable systems, deeper appreciation for our customers, right? I mean, so that is to me is a big dream, right? AI, like I mentioned, some time back, that is changing everything, right? It is changing how my engineers work. It's changing how my product managers work. Our analytics teams are completely transforming themselves, right? How do we continue to experiment and then whatever is working scale within the organization in terms of how we work, right? And in this case, I want eBay Bangalore to be an integral part of where eBay's future is going, right? What the future of work sort of looks like, right? The second part is, so again, on the AI side, let's figure out what is our customers are expecting from us, right? And then how should search behave differently, right? What should be the checkout experience, right? What should be the returns experience? What does this future look like in this world of AI? Lot of things have become a lot more simpler, which used to be a lot more complicated and things like that. And to me, it is like, again, going back to the same thing to your question is like, I want rest of eBay to go back and say, you know, there is something about eBay Bangalore, right? Uh, they're just slightly different. They're like mavericks. They're not hesitant to take risk, experiment, and the moment they're able to find something that works, they're making it available for rest of eBay and things like that. And then to me, finally, I think Nageshwari, I mean, to me, I would love eBay Bangalore to be one of those companies where rest of India, the talent wants to come and work. It's want it to be a great place to work where it's a very conducive environment, beautiful culture, everybody feels included, and we are solving really, really hard problem. And I guess when you're operating a marketplace in 190 countries, where every country has its own
Storage.
laws, privacy laws, how we do money transfer, fraud, risk, compliance, and all of that kind of stuff. It is a hard thing that we are
Yeah.
solving, right?
Yeah.
So ability for people to sort of, go and solve these hard problems, but also be in an environment where they want to wake up every morning and they want to come to work, like where Bangalore traffic doesn't bother them.
No, wonderfully put, Mrinal. I also wish that eBay comes with more focus on India market. Also, we also start buying over the eBay. Is that also in the plan, Mrinal?
Well, I can't comment on it.
Sure.
I mean, India is a very attractive market for retail business and things like that. So I have no comments on that one, please. Thank
Sure,
you.
sure. Mrinal. I respect that. Now we have come to the second last part of our podcast, Mrinal, and I would like to, you bring in more than 3 decades of experience, Mrinal, and you were in a different journey. You were an entrepreneur, and then you were in the enterprise, and currently you are at the eBay. Innovation Hub, Bengaluru. So, if you could reflect on three key learnings from your journey to our audience,
Hmm,
what it
hmm,
would be,
hmm, hmm,
Vedant?
hmm. Um, I think, Nageshwari, I think first is my mom told me this long time ago, right? We are a lifelong students, right? I think uh, that's something which has really, really shaped me in terms of where I am today, kind of thing. I've used every opportunity to figure out what is it in it me for me as a selfish as a student that I can learn from, right? Moving from US to India, it was a big cultural shock, and India was very different in 2011, right, in terms of workforce and things like that, right? Learn how to sort of bring the US culture but also make it adaptable to India, like and we were hiring a lot of young people, so you know be learning through that, right? I have grown through in the last 3 decades, like Ishwari. I mean, when I started my career, I used to code on mainframes, right? So, those green screen terminals, everything is running on the server. From there, we moved to client server software, when Windows and everything sort of came in, to the internet that came in, mobile came in. So, technology, learning, adapting. Again, learning has been the biggest underscored word for me there is like, learn, adapt, and look to excel, right? Not just survive in that environment, how do you thrive, right? Second to me is like, stop giving excuses about yourself, right? Um, most of the time, I think, Nageshwari, I found that, you know, it is my limitation of I couldn't think big enough that I couldn't take a bold decision, right? Somewhere my fears came in inside of me, right? What happens to my family? What happens to my financial situation? This and that, and all of that kind of stuff. These are all self-imposed thing that we do, kind of thing. But end of the day, our success and failure, environment has a role to play. Don't get me wrong, right?
True,
But
true.
big part of that environment is you. I think, like as an individual, I hold myself accountable. If I'm not able to convince you, Nageshwari, that I want you to agree to something, but if you're not agreeing, I don't blame you. I blame myself. I'm like, Nageshwari is looking for something that I still don't understand. I need to understand more about what is it that Nageshwari would care about, and then I need to come back and have a conversation about that, right?
Absolutely.
And then the final part, I think, Nageshwari, I mean, trust. I mean, with 3 decades, right?
Yeah,
I mean, when I look back in my career, like, the deep trust that I've been able to build with people, right?
yeah.
Today also, I reach out to some of, I was talking about ShopClues, even during my days way back in, as to be at Oracle and things like that. It's like being able to reach out to them. I remember when I started ShopClues, many of those people that I grew up with, I said, like, I have no idea about cloud. Please help me, right? They're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you need help? Oh, let me find somebody, right? I mean, I immediately, in 48 hours, I got 4 names
Mm.
of people in India who can help me, right? I mean, AWS was not available in India at that point of time, 2011. So what should I use? What should I look for? Like, how should I compute like cloud cost and things like that? It's like being able to build that deeper trust with people, right? It is
Yeah.
really underrated word, but it has such a deep, profound impact on people's career.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Sure, sure, Mridal. Thank you for sharing that. And now we have come to the last part of our podcast, which is the rapid fire uh, question.
I'm a little scared.
No, no, no. Please feel free. And whatever, the word or the idea which is coming first to your mind, you can, feel free. So there is where is the fun actually. Sure. One leadership lesson that you have learned hard way, Mridal.
Leadership lesson I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Ah, man, you make it so hard. Don't miss an opportunity, no matter how scary it is.
Okay. So you have kind of trained yourself taking the risk muscle.
Yeah, I mean, yes, yes. To be very honest, like there was. I mean, again, I'll take it very short. This thing.
Sure,
There was
sure.
a time, we were. There was an opportunity for at Oracle. to move into the modern stack. Those days, Java was the modern stack. C, C++ was considered legacy. We were moving to the web at that point of time. Um, I had an opportunity to go and present to Larry Ellison at Oracle, right? And the whole topic was around this, and there was a lot of controversial decisions that Larry had to make as part of that. Um, I was nervous of taking that decision. My team wanted
Okay.
us to win there. I was scared personally as an individual kind of thing, but then I had to sort of say, like, you know what, opportunities like this don't come every day, right? We were the first team in all of Oracle to move to Java JE,
Wonderful.
right? But yeah, but it was like, I had to, just be bold enough. Yes.
Got it. Um, One lesson you learned being a co-founder that you still carry.
Um, to me, it's like be able to build that deeper connection that you do not hesitate to have intense, heated conversation with each other, still have deep respect for each other.
Wow, that is so
At
deep.
ShopClues, we used to get, I mean, our discussions used to sometimes get so mad, so heated that we may just not talk to each other for 2 days. But never did we disrespect each other. Right?
Very true.
I had my point of view and I
I
held
can
it
totally
down.
relate.
Yeah, I'm sure you do that. But
Yeah.
building that thing, right? And the same thing with my co-founders where they said, yeah, Mrinal has a different point of view. We will debate about it, but both of us have the same common interest of making sure our business and our customers win, right? We may have different ideas in terms of what our approach should be and things like that, but that deep respect. I mean, we used to go for dinner together within those 2 days. So it's not like, I'm just not making eye contact. I just look at him and say, hey, we have still not solved that problem. So remember, right? Our fight is still pending, but we are going to go for dinner together.
That's that's so true.
Yes.
And that was lovely, Mrinal. And Bengaluru eBay in one word for you.
The future of eBay.
Wow, lovely. A decision which made that initially the decision that made you initially very uncomfortable, but you're very proud of currently, Mrinal. I think you shared that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm becoming a co-founder of ShopClues. There were way too many moving parts at that point of time. I had to relocate my entire family. My family was not ready to move back to India at that point of time. And a lot of uncertainties about India, kind of talent, kind of infrastructure. We were building the first marketplace, and Flipkart was there already. Let's Buy was there. Infibeam was
Yeah,
there. A lot of those companies were already there, and so I had a lot of skepticism about there may be something fundamentally wrong in the infrastructure in India that marketplace may not thrive.
yeah.
So there was a lot of apprehensions about it, kind of thing. But I'm so glad I made the decision, Nageshwari, not only just as a human, as a personal evolution of how much I've learned through that journey,
Yeah,
but also being close to my family.
wonderful.
My mom lives less than three hours away from here, and my mother-in-law is 2.5 hours away from here. Like I can get on a
Wow.
flight today afternoon and have dinner with her today. Like, to me, it's like priceless.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's the ultimate peace, right? We are out of the total 100% guilt.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
truly, truly, Brenna. That was wonderful. And last, question: one book or a leader that you truly, inspire, that truly inspires you.
Um, I think Steve Jobs,
Okay.
right? I mean, in fact, the phrase that I use, think differently, it was one of the Apple campaigns at one point of time. To me, what inspires is like he could anticipate the future way out there. Like the iPhone launch, he launched iPhone where we didn't even realize that we needed a computer in our pocket, right? Even the turnaround story of Apple, like, and things like that. And I knew quite a few people who worked at Apple, and they
Yeah.
would tell like how Steve Jobs would walk the hallway, talk to engineers,
Hmm.
sometimes make things a little bit uncomfortable. I also liked his style of wardrobe. He wore the same thing every day. And I try to do the same thing. I mean, like,
Oh, is it?
yeah,
Okay.
well, I mean, I figured like, then you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
Most of my clothes are dark color clothes. Yeah.
Okay. And it's an eBay almost.
Well, this one is eBay, but not all of them are eBay. Yes.
Sure, sure, absolutely.
Yes.
No, no, absolutely. And one quote which stays, with me is "Stay hungry and stay foolish." Uh,
Yes.
Steve, I keep telling to my daughter that you have to be foolish. You have to ask questions to your teacher. Don't think, and every day I ask her, "What are the questions you asked to your teacher today?" Forget about your other, the classmates. You should look fool.
Yes. Yes.
That's the
Yes.
best thing about it. And Mrinal, last thing I would like to sum it up with this. What is your everyday routine, Mrinal? You have, you are a morning person, or you do some meditation. So what's your routine, Mrinal? The morning routine.
I'm not a morning person, Nageshwari. I mean, if you leave it to my own ways without an alarm clock, I don't think I'll wake up before 9:30 in the morning. My natural body will wake up pretty late. So waking up early is a forceful thing. Morning routine, two things. One is I do spend 20 minutes walking my dog every morning. To me, that's a fantastic bonding moment. Like, the two of us go for a walk together. Like, I see an innocence of an animal and all of that kind of stuff. And the second one to me is like, I think I drive to work every day myself. Um, and
Why? I think you can save time.
No, actually, I think it helps me think through. I like to,
Okay.
driving doesn't bother me, to be very honest. But
You like it.
it actually sharpens my focus because
Okay.
if you're driving in Bangalore, you can't be distracted. So over time, it has actually allowed me. So now I'm able to multitask where I can keep an eye on the traffic and everything else, but also allows me to reflect on how yesterday went, what's the plan for today,
Wonderful.
what a good day would look like, and what an
Mm.
average day would look like. Like so, by the
Mm.
time I come into the office, like I know the three things I want to complete today. So,
Absolutely.
and one of them was this
No,
this
no.
conversation with you. So
Absolutely. I can relate. That's the reason I didn't keep cook. I like cooking, and while cooking, I somehow get the focus, and there is so much clarity of what is
exactly.
the rest of the day is going to be for me.
Yes, yes, yes,
Sure.
yes, yes, yes,
Sure,
yes.
Minal. It was an absolute pleasure hosting you, and the conversations were lovely. Especially the rapid fire, the first 3 months were lovely. Thank you so much, Miran. I look forward to be in touch with you.
No, absolutely, Nageshwari. This was fantastic. I mean, it brought back some old memories and, gave me some things to reflect on. Like, if I had to synthesize my 30 years of career into few sentences, what would that look like? So, no, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. Definitely looking forward to connecting again soon.
Absolutely, Milan.